Hey guys, welcome to the Monsters Lair podcast, episode 1, with my good friend Ricky. Say hi, Ricky.
Hey guys, how you going?
We're just two dudes who love gaming, so we decided to do a podcast of all days on Christmas Day.
Yeah, best day for gaming.
That's the awesome timing that we have. So in this week's this episode, guys, we're going to look at Salt and Sanctuary, a little indie game that, before we get started, Ricky, I've got to tell them how I came across this game, if you like. So Ricky's here visiting from London, and we're sitting on my couch and we're talking about life and all that stuff, and there's this moment of silence, and I look over at Ricky and I'm like, dude, I've got a dream about a game. And Ricky's like, what is it, man? I'm like, I want a game with deep role-playing mechanics, an open world to explore, and all of it in 2D. And Ricky looks at me and goes, mate, that game was released in March. Which blew my mind. And then he drops the second bomb, which is, mate, you can play it in co-op, which made my head explode because I love co-op. So that's how I discovered Salt and Sanctuary, all thanks to Ricky. And I think I was like 8 months too late because it was released in March by Scar Studios. So Ricky, how did you learn about it, man?
Dude, I just found out about it on the interwebs. I'm a bit of an indie gamer, as you know. I definitely don't need the latest in graphics to enjoy a game, and it was just a game that I heard about on the interwebs somewhere. Myself, I'm a bit of a Dark Souls fan, a bit of a Bloodborne fan, so anytime there's a game that comes out, I guess I just pay attention to those games or the fans of those games, and I heard about Salt and Sanctuary is very heavily compared to the Souls series because it has a lot of similarities. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose on that note, man, just to set the scene, like Ricky's a big Dark Souls fan, would you say, Ricky? You play most of the Dark Souls games?
I'm a huge fan of the way that they make the games, in the sense that they're old school games. I like the lore. But in turn, I'm not the kind of guy that's played through. I've not played the second one, for example. I played Bloodborne and I played the first Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm still waiting to play Dark Souls 3. Haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah, sure. But you've dabbled in the Dark Souls world, that's for sure. Whereas I'm totally ignorant to it, so it'll be good to see our views on this, because I know I've been reading about Salt and Sanctuary, and it's a massive tribute to Dark Souls. So yeah, it's interesting to get, I suppose, a non-Dark Souls perspective as well, which is myself.
Yeah. So on that note, let me ask you, so for some time I've kind of suggested to you should play Dark Souls. It's a really good series, it's very engaging, and it kind of engrosses you in the world. And you've always kind of held back a little bit. Why is that? Like, why have you not been interested in going down that path?
Look, I have like great respect for the franchise, but it just might be, for me, it's time and dedication. It seems like a game that you need to hone your skills and master. And I think the time investment to make myself happy at the game, like not just get my ass kicked and sort of walk away from sessions just getting my butt handed to me, but putting in the time has been a big limiting factor, especially with all the other games that I play. You know me, man. I'm more into like open world role playing games. So if there is one around, and there always seems to be one around with Witcher coming, with Witcher and Elder Scrolls, this, that, and the other. I just have time constraints. But you got me good on this one. You suckered me into this one.
So dude, with this one, I specifically at no point mentioned that it's like Dark Souls, because I knew if I said that to you, you'd be like, no, I'm out straight away. So I was like, no, I'm not going to say that. Just going to say it's a 2D platforming game with RPG elements, because that was kind of what you said you were interested in. And I'm like, yeah, got you. That's the hook right there. So
And there was many hours late at night on the couch, Jocko, when I died for the 837th time that I'm like, Ricky, I can't quit either now.
Yeah, man, that's the beauty of the game.
All right, man. Look, we've had like 0.8 seconds to prepare for this podcast. So you've put together some nice points to go through. So let's kick it off with the, I suppose, elephant in the room, and that's the role-playing mechanics behind this game, man. So do you want to give your perspective on your thoughts of, the classes, skill trees, or whatever, if you've seen any other games like this?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's a very classical sort of RPG archetype. So you kind of pick your warrior build, your cleric build, mage, rogue, all that sort of stuff is quite familiar, and I think anyone that's kind of played an RPG will know all about that. The thing that I thought was very interesting about it is that it is a 2D platforming game, and I was just trying to think if I've ever played a game like that actually in the past, and I've not been able to think of one, but I just felt it was a very good mix actually, just a good balance. To be able to, on the one hand, you kind of doing your classical jumping platform to platform, but then when you actually come into a combat situation, you've got a little bit of time to, I guess, choose your flavor or choose your style of play, which is just different and new. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know what it is, but anytime you play an RPG and you get to choose how you want to develop your character and what your strengths are going to be, I always just love that stuff. And it was great. It was really, really good. Yourself?
So with me, you played so guys, we played this co-op. So after Ricky told me about this, what I thought was a revelation in my lounge room, that there is such a game, and it was released like 8 months ago, and you can play co-op. We immediately downloaded the game and we played it, I think, till like 3 a.m. the first night, and then obviously Ricky had to leave and go on his travels, go to New Zealand and so forth. But we've both finished the game since. And I think with me, Ricky, you were playing a paladin and I was a rogue. So my character was a rogue, you were a paladin. So in your main game, what class did you pick?
In my main game where I played solo, I actually went for the cleric. My thoughts being it's just being very much a massive damage dealer, so I had a big mace that I ran around with, but I had very light armor, so couldn't take a lot of. But if I did take hits, I had the ability to heal myself and also dish out some additional holy damage as well. So that's what I wanted.
So, man, I don't think I've seen a game like this before, to be honest. People say it's like a Castlevania mashed up with Dark Souls. Someone like myself would say it's like a Castlevania, or for some ironic reason, I keep going back to Ghosts and Goblins, the old school platformer. But even saying Ghosts and Goblins and Castlevania is just doesn't do it any justice, because that's just the surface of this game as a 2D platformer. I actually think it does have similarities with Skyrim in that you pick your class and your class is only a starting point, and you can take your class into any which direction you want, and you can make it a mashup of multiple classes, which is exactly what the Elder Scrolls series is like. Probably the biggest skill tree I've ever seen, ever. It's freaking huge. You can start off as a rogue, you can end up becoming a battle mage or a paladin that can do arcane spells and heal and high dexterity, and you can really just go in any direction. I suppose it's within limits, and it's got some costs of spreading yourself too thin. And then the detail of weapons for a 2D platformer, from my point of view, is enormous. The shield, how it slows you down, and all the little nuances on the physics of the impacts it has on your speed and your rolls is just... Mate, this game to me is like this finely crafted ornament that sits on your mantelpiece. It's not the most dominant ornament on your mantelpiece, but it's one of those ornaments you get up to and you look at it and you just see detail upon detail upon detail the closer you look at it. That's how my analogy of this game. So massive skill tree, different classes, large array of weapons, and then all the items and armor. Like, you know, I'm playing this 2D platformer and I'm looking at the armor or the arcane defense of my gloves, you know, like that's the level of detail, or my belt.
Yeah.
And you have to wear different clothes that have different advantages against like different types of attacks and stuff. So it's like a little Skyrim to me from a non-Dark Souls thing. It's truly almost like a Skyrim, apart from it doesn't have any villages and sort of real fleshed out outside world. You're just on this island. So massive kudos. So mate, what about the difficulty of the game? Did you said you defeated the boss. You defeated the boss in 2 goes, dude. So that's pretty legendary, man. Seriously.
Well, I watched you playing it. I watched you playing it on the Twitch, man. So I kind of learned the moves a little bit, and so I think that kind of gave me some clues as to how to fight him. So that helped a lot. But dude, I wanted to ask you about what you thought of the difficulty, because you know, I played Bloodborne, finished that one, got very far Dark Souls, so I was kind of knew what to expect. But what were your thoughts on it? And did you enjoy it, or did you hate it, or what did you think?
Oh man, so again, this is you sucked me into my first sort of Dark Souls experience, which I was trying to avoid. And there was some dark hours at night where I was going to give up on it, and I was frustrated. But I pressed on, and when I got that victory, it was one of the sweetest moments in my little gaming career, if you want to call it. But it was just such a rewarding experience to actually overcome a boss.
Yes.
And then when I realized that, wow, what a high, that just drove me through the rest of the game. Knowing, with your help and from followers on Twitch and stuff, kind of telling me like, hey man, change up your armor, do this, do that, I realized there is a path past everyone. There is a pattern of bosses. I actually found some of the big knights that you met, that two-handed knight guy, man, he was harder than any boss for me. The one that had the 2 battle axes. But with the bosses, just perseverance and trying to learn something every time you die, kind of kept my hopes alive. But I found it extremely difficult. I died a lot, man. So yeah, I had moments of freaking about to throw the controller at the screen and screaming out your name in the middle of the night. Okay, what have you done? I'm just. But you're obviously a lot better at these games than me. Is it like, I don't know, man, were you more frustrated in a Dark Souls game than this, or was a bit easier, or?
I think because it is 2D, there's a certain simplicity to it, compared to Dark Souls or Bloodborne, that just made it that little bit easier. I think, like, there's no element where you walk into a room and there's something behind you and you can't see it.
Right.
All around you. So I definitely don't think it's as difficult, and certainly not as long as those games. Having said that, when you come up against the boss fight, the one boss, and the third lamb was one boss that I thought was probably the first boss I thought that like really, really pushed me to the edge, and I just thought, I don't see that. Do this. And then there was another boss, I think it's called the Witch of the Lake, fairly close towards, like, probably 3/4 of the way through the game, or pretty late in the game. And I think her character was just had everything needed to just target my weaknesses. I think my character was not well equipped to fight her, but I found her extremely difficult. Really. I love that. I love that, like, going through 100 attempts, and like you never know when the breakthrough attempt is going to be, and that's what it's all about.
So my body language every time I defeated a boss was literally, if you recorded me, it was like my NBA team had won a playoff series. I'd done a buzzer shot. Like I had my hands in the air and I was running around the coffee table, screaming. With veins coming out of my neck from screaming so loud.
It's like a Damian Lillard.
Absolutely. So I did that like 20 times during this game.
And I don't know if you had any of those ones where like you've got one hit left and the boss has got one hit left and it's like who's gonna get it, But those are pretty cool. And then they get you like
the heartbreak in this game.
Man.
So, man, first of all, I'm with you there, man. The third lamb was the worst boss for me, and I agree that the Witch of the Lake was definitely the second hardest for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Third lamb.
Okay.
I think the third lamb was intimidating to look at. It was like a mishmash of crazy creatures just stuck together.
Yeah.
I had a fear factor starting off the fight against that thing.
Yeah.
It's been seared into my memory, that monstrosity.
Yeah. And I think with the third lamb, you actually said this to me when we spoke about this, but one of the cool things about the third lamb was discovering, or this could be a spoiler I guess, but discovering the vulnerable point is right in front of him. That's kind of where he can't really hit you. And that was kind of a bit of a breakthrough once you realise that, okay, because a lot of bosses obviously dodge to the other side of them and hit them in the back.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
And you naturally don't want to stand in front of such a monstrosity. Like, you're like, no way is right in front of it. It's weak point, Look at it. It'll just like rip me to shreds. And
yeah, exactly. Dude, when we first played that, we played co-op, and then I left you, and you then had to journey on single player. How did you find that playing co-op versus single player?
I'm a massive co-op fan. I love playing with a friend, and this is one of the few games that has got local co-op. So again, massive points to this to Scar Studios. I enjoyed it a lot more with co-op, to be honest, and would prefer to play it that way. If we could play it online, that would be amazing. I just think, two brains are better than one in this game. And then those times when, even when someone dies, the other guy is just watching your health bar and telling you when to take health potions. It's a bit of a health potion war, this game. Man, co-op, I found single player to be extremely hard, especially at low levels. I was like drawing out one goblin or whatever at a time to kill it. Whereas when I was actually towards the end, and you actually do feel high level in this game, which is awesome. Like, you feel like you've earned your stripes and you're powerful, and you're just walking into enemies and dicing them up, and you're like, yeah, baby, I earned these stripes. The end of the game's not so bad single player. But yeah, I struggled at the low levels and preferred co-op. How about you, man?
Yeah, definitely. Mate, I love playing with a mate. I think co-op's, always the way. Like it's a lot of fun. But there is something that I just enjoy about doing it on your own. When you play co-op, if you're fighting a boss, your mate can kind of take all the attention and take the load of the hits, and then the other one can kind of just stab them in the back. And then this feels a little bit cheap, I think, in one sense. So it's kind of, I enjoy the difficulty of going solo, if that makes sense.
You're a true Dark Souls player.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, man.
So, mate, my most memorable fight is a co-op one.
Yeah.
Obviously, the end boss is one of the most memorable. I think defeating the Witch of the Lake was memorable, but the best one we had was, there was a fight where literally we were struggling with, I forgot who the boss was, unfortunately, but you were the paladin and we were struggling heaps to defeat this boss, and I died at about a quarter of the way through the guy's health bar, and then you kept on fighting, and you'd saved up for a resurrection spell, but you didn't know how to cast it.
Yes.
And you were fighting this boss, and then just by accident, you resurrected me just before you died. And I literally took on, it was like tag team, I took on the second half of the health bar. We defeated the boss. I think that was the most memorable moment to me.
It's like comedy of errors.
Comedy of errors to success.
I think that was the Tree of Men, dude. I'm pretty sure we were stuck on him for a long time. You remember the Tree of Men?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think what
I just remember being resurrected, and I'm like, "How'd you do that?" You're like, "I don't know," and then the guy clobbers you, and you die, and I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, dude. I think with that one, I think I got the resurrection spell, but when I bought it, I wasn't high enough level. I didn't have level 3 res ability. And I got it at some point, obviously. I didn't realize, and I cast. I was trying to heal myself, I think, and I accidentally revived him. And then I think it took you a minute or two to realize you were back in the game, and then you're like, oh, and then
absolutely.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So
in the heat of battle, we had to have that little discussion. How did you do it? I don't know. And then I jumped in.
Go. Dude. So something about the Dark Souls series that it's quite well known for, and I think is probably a little bit controversial, is just that the storyline isn't very clear. You don't necessarily really know what's going on. It's very thick on lore, as in there is a good and there is an evil, and there are certain characters, and they all play their part. But it doesn't necessarily spell it out for you, like, you know, go here, save the princess, defeat the demon, and be crowned the king of the land kind of thing. It's much more like, you know, if you choose to go talk to this character, they may say something that doesn't really make sense, but they may give you a really nice reward. And they always ask you a question, and you've got to answer like yes or no, and you don't really know the implications of what you're saying.
Oh, that's okay. So they really mimic that in Salt and Sanctuary, huh?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So this game is Souls like through and through. So what did you think of that, and compared to some of the more archetypal classical RPGs you played, like your Skyrims or your Witches? How did you find it?
Yeah, look, you know, if we're going to talk about a score at the end of this, that's probably and this is just my personal thing because I'm not used to that type of narrative. I know it seems to be a JRPG thing, right? Where people, like you say, they say things that might not make full sense and very cryptic. And they're kind of like breadcrumbs that get dropped in front of you, and you can't really put much together. But you have this sort of hope that the more you progress, the more it comes together, and you kind of realize that none of it's coming together. So I think, to me, I was kind of lost, and I totally forgot talking about the story. Like, so you're meant to rescue a princess at the beginning, right? You're on a ship.
That's right.
And someone gets the princess gets kidnapped and there's a kraken, and whether you defeat or don't defeat the kraken, it destroys the ship, and you're on this island, and then you're walking around this island. And mate, I've totally forgot about this rescue the princess, because, like you say, the narrative just, you meet these different characters, like the knight. You meet a knight, you meet an old man, you meet a girl. And they're all saying different cryptic things, and I think the girls kind of alludes more about, like, there's a big demon here on this island. Yeah, that's probably my only thing that I'm not a big fan of, I suppose, is that cryptic storyline. I'm sure a lot of people would like it, but I don't want like a classical narrative, but something more fleshier to keep you going during the game. Like about 3/4 of the way, I'd sort of forgotten about the storyline and just wanted to press on and like defeat the bosses. Was my main aim.
Yeah, you kind of just thought about it a little bit. Yeah, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. So it's something that I kind of don't. I kind of struggle with it a little bit. I kind of don't like it in a way, but at the same time, it's kind of just quirky and interesting in itself. So just to give you some background, this is just through following the gaming series over the years. The game director, Miyazaki, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, but apparently when he was quite young, so he's Japanese, and when he was quite young, he used to love going to the library and just...
Is this the Dark Souls guy, or is this...
Yeah, this is the Dark Souls guy, and Bloodborne. Yeah. So he'd look at the books, but he wasn't a very good reader, and a lot of the books would have pictures in them, and he tried to read, but he could really only kind of understand one or two words. So he kind of had to make up the story in his own mind by looking at the picture of a castle and then reading a few words and trying to figure out what was going on. And that's kind of how he's kind of been inspired to make his games. He wants you to kind of vaguely be aware of the direction that you're moving in, but at the same time, it's not necessarily clear. It's a bit abstract. So that's kind of the I guess the inspiration behind it. And I do really like it, actually. There is just something about it, like, mysterious. You don't quite understand, and it kind of just draws you in, and it makes you wonder. Going back to what you were saying, with the princess, so you start off in this game on a ship, and you're taking a princess to another land, and then basically you get attacked, and you get shipwrecked. And I got the impression that perhaps princess was never real, or it was kind of like an illusion to get you to the island in the first place. And there's a lot of hints or references to what is this island. Is it actually real? Is it a cursed place? Is it all in your imagination?
So I mean, we're going to give some spoilers here, guys, so please switch off now. 3, 2, 1, 0. But obviously this island has got the nameless god on it, and it's filled with these bosses, right? So I don't know if he's got like this collection of demons or whatever on the island, and like you say, he draws people to this island. This is just my take on everything that I finished it, and you go through defeating all these pets or generals or whatever they are, these bosses, until you get to him. Well, my particular ending, and there is 2 endings, Ricky.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
we don't know
quite amazing as well.
We both chose the same ending.
Yeah, we both chose the same ending. I won't give that away. But I love the fact that you figured out in the final boss match how your character drops off a ledge and takes some damage, and I think you found out that that's to kind of force the character to kneel before the nameless god, which is awesome. And so heartbreaking. You're like, what? You're taking damage before you even start the fight.
Classic Dark Souls style.
So let's move on to I suppose the other.
Before I just want to clarify, so even though this storyline is a bit vague, I think we're both in agreement that the ending, certainly with the option that we did choose, was pretty awesome. Yes,
absolutely. So it all did come around for me, and I think the ending made up for it all. If it was if it was just some guy saying something funny again or something weird that didn't make sense, and then credits rolled, I would have gone but no, the ending was spot on for me, and I was like, no way, and totally regret what I did. And don't have the stomach to run through again and choose the other ending. To be honest,
I'm going through it again, man. I'm up to that damned Witch of the Lake, man. It's
wow,
much tougher the second time round. Let me tell you.
Oh wow!
So this is a common in the Dark Souls series, but when you finish the game, you start again, and then you do what's called NG, which stands for New Game Plus, and basically the difficulty is ramped up. The amount of salt you collect after each kill is ramped up. But you keep your character and you keep all your equipment, so it's just another run through, and it gets tougher. And some people go through like 10 times, just keep going over and over and over again, just getting harder and harder, getting their character more powerful. So yeah.
Pain threshold of some people.
I've got to say, it's much quicker the second time round. Like, you just know when you come to that boss the first time, you know exactly what its weak points are. You come up with a strategy. So yeah. So let me ask you, dude. So even though the storyline is a little bit vague and unclear, how did you feel about the world itself and like the art style and meeting the different characters?
Man, the art style is amazing. Like, it looked like a penciled comic art style to me. It looked like it was drawn, and it wasn't like cartoony. It was comic-y in that it was like I said, like a penciled comic. It had a lot of like dark grey, like overtones across it, and I loved it. It was unique. I thought the characters looked unique. The beasts were definitely unique. And yeah, the world in general, it was grey, it was a bit drab, dungeons were dark, and wherever there was light, it was like a beacon, whether it was your torch or a sanctuary or just candles. So yeah, man, I think it was beautiful. It was part of that handcrafted sort of artistry that I was referring to before, is that the love that's poured into this game is so evident.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree with you. And yeah, I really like that feeling when you kind of come to a boss for the first time. You know, I mean, this is common in Souls, and it's like this in Soul and Sanctuary, but obviously you're exploring the world. There's a very strong exploration component, even though it's a 2D game, which I thought was pretty cool. And that feeling when you're kind of exploring through new territory, you might have a lot of salt on your hands. You don't want to die because you might lose it.
That whole lose your salt thing.
Yeah. But then you come across a boss, the dread of coming across a boss, and then you see it, and there are always these big, imposing, overwhelming presences, and just that feeling of dread was really, really cool. And dude, yeah, like you said, the salt thing is amazing, right?
Yeah, man. Like, you might have a good run and collect some salt, and then I'll just stand there frozen in fear on the platform thinking, do I go forward now or do I run back to a sanctuary? And you're just frozen. I'm just like, I can't decide. And then when you go and get killed by a monster who then has your salt, it kind of becomes a side quest to go and regain your salt. I forget about exploring. I forget about the story and this and that and the other. I just want to go back and get my salt back. And a lot of times I failed and again wailed in despair as 25,000 salts just disappears into thin air. Yeah, gone.
And I don't know if you noticed this or not, dude, but when they kill you and collect your salt, they're actually harder to kill to reclaim it.
I didn't know that. That's probably why I failed so much.
Man, there was this one bit in the game, I kind of regret it a little bit, but there was this one bit in the game when I was running along, and I just came across this troll in this cave or something. It was so tall that literally his head was outside the screen, just from his entire body was that huge.
Right.
I
missed that.
I think at the time I had a whole heap of salt on me, and I just got scared and I ran. I was going back to the sanctuary, and I never came back across him again. I don't know where he is now. Maybe I dreamed it. Maybe it never happened. I don't know. but yeah, I never came across him again. I'm like, damn it. I hope I come across him in my next playthrough and see what happens.
Powerful mechanic, man. That's losing your salt. Yeah, losing all your experience points, because essentially that's what the salt is. It's like experience points.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. I mean, if this mechanic was in Elder Scrolls Online or World of Warcraft, people would be raging at each other.
Yeah.
Wars would break out across the realm.
Sure. And basically the sanctuaries are checkpoints throughout the world that you find, and if you find a sanctuary, basically you can't deposit your salt, but you can certainly spend it or attribute it. So there are always such good things to find, and great name for the game, Salt and Sanctuary, and salt was actually used in medieval times as a form of trade as well, as a form of currency. So I think it's really good that name for the game, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Salt was definitely a currency back in the day, a very valuable form of currency to barter with. And mate, is I heard like in Dark Souls, there's similar thing to a sanctuary, like a fireplace that is a save point or something. Is that right? Or
it made
campfire?
The same mechanic. So you go to find like a fire with a stake in the ground, and that's where you replenish all your health potions. That's also a double-edged sword, because that's when all the enemies that you've just killed come back to life. So that's where you go for Sanctuary, I guess.
So the most extreme feeling and emotion I had during this game was defeating a boss. The second most extreme feeling I had was discovering a sanctuary, and the feeling of it was totally opposite to the boss feeling. It was a feeling of just absolute relief and, oh my god, I'm in safety. I can breathe for the next 5 minutes while I tinker with my armor, and you can upgrade your weapons. This is how deep it is. You can upgrade your weapons, you can upgrade your armor, your gloves, your belts, your pants. Then not only can you upgrade things, you can transmute them, which kind of transforms your weapon into a more powerful weapon. You had crossbows, you had bows. Did you use much ranged weaponry?
Never.
Did you? Never.
Not once. A couple of times it would have come in handy, but no, I never got into it.
Yeah, I kind of just used them at low level when I didn't want to like attract too much attention of like a mob of bosses. I would just sort of stand in one corner and shoot at one boss and draw him over and kill him. I actually used it just to draw enemies as opposed to
because
defeating enemies.
They don't do a lot of damage, do they?
Yeah.
Quite hard. Man.
So what did you make of the brandings? Do they have do you get branded in Dark Souls? Because throughout this game, for everyone, like you meet these NPCs, they say something that doesn't make sense, and then they brand you. And then off the back of the branding, you get a new special power as well. So is there any parallels to Dark Souls, or what's your take on getting
not that I'm
burnt?
There's no similarities that I can think of. So the brandings effectively unlock a whole new way of playing the game, don't they? So the first one, basically, the first branding that you get allows you, anytime you come across a certain obelisk, which is you can interact with it, and then the gravity is turned upside down, so you then stand on the ceiling effectively. And to me, and I think it works so well because it's a 2D game and it's quite simple to read and understand. I don't think that, for example, would work nearly as well in a 3D game. It'd just be too trippy, I think.
Absolutely.
And that's when, like, I think you can get like those real old school kind of platforming mechanics where you jump around walls and jumping off walls and all that sort of stuff. I just love that old school kind of gaming, and I just felt like it unlocked the game. I think you said it's the game that just keeps on giving when we're playing it, because you just find and you think, I loved it. Absolutely loved every single bit of that sort of stuff. And every time you got a new ability, I was like, this is just so cool.
The game truly has everything in it. They've just put so much love into this game. It's just obvious. So man. So
and dude,
anything else?
Well, there's stuff that we haven't discovered. Like, you might remember there were certain times in the game when we would come across a new area, and there would be like an orange barrier, like an orange glowing barrier that we couldn't get past.
Yeah.
We never solved that, did we? We never figured out how to get through that. I don't think
some of them I did, Ricky, but I didn't get through them. I came the another way and came from the other side, type thing.
Right. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I've never opened those things, but I have been in the area on the other side of those barriers by just, blindly walking somewhere and then coming from the other direction and going, oh, okay, so this is the other side of that barrier.
Right.
But do you know if these
I don't know.
white barriers can be moved, or I have no idea.
I haven't figured that out. I thought you might get a branding at some point that would let you get past them, but I've not.
Or walk through them. Yeah.
I don't know.
Hopefully, this second time round, you might
figure it out. I'm hoping to. I might have to turn to the YouTube eventually, or the Reddit, or something to figure it out.
Mate, did you ever kill one of those freaking unicorns?
Yeah, man. I wiped them all
No
out.
way.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You legend.
They're not that hard to kill. They're not that strong.
Right.
But if they get you, they just do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So you just got to be very careful. But yeah, dude. Oh mate, I hate those unicorns.
I crap my pants every time I saw one and just ran.
So, dude, I've just done this bit just now. Actually, it's quite late in the game. But basically, I was just running around exploring, and there's like this kind of hole you've got to jump over, and my finger slipped and I jumped too soon and I fell down. But actually, when I fell down, instead of falling to my death, there was like a very skinny platform below, and I thought, oh,
right.
What's this? And I couldn't jump back up; it was too fast. I'm like, oh, so. And then I noticed that there was like a waterfall falling down one side of the platform. So I thought maybe I can fall down on that side where the waterfall's trickling down. So I fell down, and sure enough, there's another platform and another platform, and you just keep on falling down. And then eventually you get to this guy, and he's like dressed in black, and he's got like a skeleton covering over him, and he says to you, do you want to come this way? You need a bloody writ. Or something to that effect.
Right.
And I've never heard of this item before. I had no idea. And eventually I did have to turn to the internet to figure this one out. This is where it's a bit frustrating when it's a bit vague as to what you need to do. So the way that you get a bloody writ is you need to go and desecrate a sanctuary.
Desecrate a sanctuary by changing the religion.
Yeah, so what you do,
creed.
You go to a...
Is that right?
Yeah, your creed. You go to a sanctuary that's not your creed, and then you've got to use an item which is a stained page, and that's basically you're declaring war on that sanctuary. So then, if there's any NPCs there, they'll try to kill you. And then
what?
If you kill, they turn on you. Yeah.
Right.
And so then you've got to kill them, and then once you kill them, like these guardians come. So the one that I did, it was like a knight and a mage.
Yeah.
And then they come in, there's 3 waves of guardians, and they get tougher each time. And then finally, if you kill all them, you've desecrated the sanctuary, and you can make it into your creed after that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a whole section of the game that I missed.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because I didn't fall down that hole.
Dude. But the thing is, right, that you would never, I don't know how you would ever know this, but to get the bloody writ, you have to attempt to desecrate a sanctuary, but then you need to die. You need to let those guys fighting you need to let them kill you, and then when you wake up, you get this bloody writ. And then you go to this guy and you give it to him, and he says to you, you've got this bloody writ because you tried to claim another sanctuary that wasn't yours, but you weren't good enough, and so you need our help. So if you need help, come this way. Well, they're like, I don't know the lore behind it, but they seem to be like a very dark, I think it's like a betrayer's creed or something like that.
Right. Man,
yeah,
this game keeps on giving, man.
Yeah, exactly, dude. But yeah, just the exploration and finding stuff is sick, man. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely amazing experience. Salt in the Sanctuary. So, you asked me what I would give it out of 5 if we had to do the corny rating system, Ricky.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't think there's a fault with this game at all. So if I'm going to give it a rating, it's just my own emotional sort of hopes and dreams, in a game. I just I hope in the next. I think there might be a Salt and Sanctuary too, but a bit of a this was a hardcore island with hardcore dungeons and stuff. And again, back to my original sort of hopes and dreams of a 2D Skyrim, like a game that has I don't know, villages and cities, in the same exact format, same art style, same combat. You go into an inn and it might kill the mystery a little bit, but it might flesh out the world a little bit. So as we discussed before, I'm more for a little bit less mystery and a little bit more clarity, just not much, just a little bit. But going into an inn and speaking to people who might say things that don't make sense, that's fine, but just a different kind of background to the usual dungeons and empty island and stuff. So I'd give this 4.5 out of 5, man, and that's just it's very close to a 5 out of 5 in my books.
I think it would be cool, dude, if you went to a sanctuary, just to expand on what you were saying, and you talk to someone there and they say to you, I lost my ring in the dungeon beneath, can you get it for me? And then you find the ring, come back to them and give you the sword or something. So I don't know, classic sort of side quest RPG. I don't think we came across anything like that. But I think that would be pretty awesome if you did.
Yeah.
There was that one NPC we came across, and they said, "Have you got a Red Lord's ear?" And we were like, "No." and we thought if we killed the Tree of Men boss, we would get that item. Which we didn't, and we just had no idea how to get it. It was just very vague. Eventually, I did figure it out just by chance. I just killed a random character and got the drop. And
that's how I learned. I watched your video.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
On YouTube, man. So thanks for that. It saved me a lot of time. I think going to Google for me is just succumbing. I try and avoid just Googling everything. So I think when a friend does something and uploads it on YouTube, it's kind of legitimate, like you're working as a community. But just Googling the rest of the planet's work it's the easy way out for me. So I was frustrated, man, trying to find this Red Ears Lord, and like a dream come true in my Gmail. It's like, Ricky's uploaded the Red Ears Lord's clip. And in fact, I didn't kill that same guy. I was on my way to that guy, and I killed another similar guy, and I got the Red Ears Lord. Then, so it was awesome, man. So anything to wrap it up, Ricky?
It's just a great game. If you like indie games, if you're a fan of Souls, a game for you, really. I couldn't recommend it enough, basically.
How much was it?
It
was like 20 something bucks Australian.
I paid £15.
Probably 30 bucks.
It's I think that's $20 American dollars, US dollars, and I think it goes on sale occasionally. But I don't know about you. My character's up to 30 hours, so definitely for me, I've got value for money out of it.
Absolutely.
That's going through my second playthrough, mind you. 30 hours, 2 playthroughs, but I definitely think it's a good game to play.
Absolutely. If you guys are into platformers, if you're into dying repeatedly, but can appreciate absolutely deep RPG mechanics, a mysterious world, all presented to you with this comic style artwork, then I highly recommend Salt and Sanctuary. I think one of the best games I've played all year. So thanks, Ricky. Merry Christmas, man. We're all about to go. I got a PS Pro under the Christmas tree.
Hey, very nice. Very nice. Enjoy that.
Thanks, mate.
Cool, dude. Have a good Christmas, man. I'll catch you later.
Yeah, man. I'll catch you later, and thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. See you guys later. Bye.